What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little bit of commentary on Destiny. We're actually going to be talking a little bit about Destiny's expansion that's coming up soon, Rise of Iron, and also just briefly going over Bungie's DLC for this game in general. Now, I want to start off by saying I am rather intrigued by a lot of the things that we're seeing about Rise of Iron. There's been a ton of information flooding out about the game. Game Informer did a huge article about it, which is available online through paid subscription, or if you get their magazine through GameStop, you can read it there, or you can just watch one of the many Destiny YouTubers that has pretty much come out with all the info. I'm really intrigued by a lot of it. I like some of the stuff they're doing. I like this idea of the Iron Lords and the whole way it seems like they're going back to sort of a medieval kind of vibe with the game, with the art and everything. I think it's kind of nice they're going to be putting a new zone into the game. And overall, there's just a lot of things that look very interesting about Rise of Iron. I like how they're keeping a lot of things the same with Infusion and the leveling system, and they're not making massive changes like they normally do with their DLCs. It seems like maybe they've finally figured out a path they want to go on with the game with regards to leveling and gear and all that stuff. But I'll cover that in a different video. Today I actually wanted to talk about one of the main things that's kind of keeping me on the fence with Rise of Iron, and I don't know if I'm quite ready to dive back into Destiny due to this one thing, and that's the price. Now, Rise of Iron is going to be $30 for the DLC. Of course, they have some silly pre-order bonuses if you want to get your Iron Yallarhorn and the silly-looking Yallarhorn-themed Sparrow. But my problem is, given that this is Bungie, given the history we know with Bungie through Destiny so far, I just can't figure out if this DLC is actually going to be worth $30. Because what Bungie has done in the past is they've advertised these DLCs, and what they do is they talk about all the quality of life improvements that they're going to be bringing into the game. Like with Rise of Iron, you're going to get the ability to choose what you get in your packages now when you get a rank up package from one of the vendors. They're keeping Infusion the same 1-to-1, and they're acting like that's a huge benefit. You know, they're talking about all this stuff they're going to be doing in Rise of Iron, and when you look at it, a lot of it is not actual new content in the game. You could even look at some of the weapons that are coming in. They're having an exotic Kvastov, which has been in the game since launch, the actual gun type, and people have actually been begging for that exotic version of that weapon since like the first couple months the game was out. And just overall, they're reskinning quite a bit. There is going to be some actual new content in a new area, but they are reskinning quite a bit. You know, they're doing these Iron Engrams where you can now get Year 1 stuff from Iron Banner and other things, and it's just kind of, I always laugh about how they took all this stuff away from Year 1 and so they wanted to leave it behind, and then now they're adding old content back into the game to try to keep people interested. I just always find that kind of hilarious. But when you look at the actual amount of content you're going to get with the DLC, it's not much. And this goes back to all the rest of the DLCs. You look at The Dark Below, which was one of the first DLCs that came out. If you bought the expansion pack when the game was first launched, you got The Dark Below and you got House of Wolves. You probably paid about $30 for it. If not, you probably paid about $20 for each. So Dark Below, House of Wolves altogether was $30 to $40 and was nowhere near worth that price in terms of a DLC. The Dark Below is a joke. The story stuff, the campaign content that was in there, you could get through it in like 45 minutes. The raid was quickly turned into a joke that you could beat in well under an hour. People were even cheesing it in all these different ways. It was kind of sad, really. There were lots of broken issues with the raid and other things, and it took Bungie 4 or 5 months to actually fix it. But the actual content you got in that Dark Below was very minimal. It was probably more along the lines of like maybe a $10 DLC. Not a $15 or $20 or $30 package. House of Wolves was just as light. They did a lot of quality of life improvements, but for content wise, you didn't even get a raid. You got Prison of Elders, which a lot of people got bored of really fast after about 2 weeks. And overall, you didn't get a whole lot more to do in the game. And Taken King was kind of half and half. Honestly, I thought Taken King was overpriced because in terms of the actual content they put in, there wasn't much. There was some good story stuff there. They did a really great job, I thought, with the cinematics and finally involving some characters like Cade Six, that giving a little bit of a narrative to the game finally. But then once you got through that initial quest line, which maybe took an hour and a half, you were then set on this just tedious quest system, going through the same areas you'd already played several times over, rerunning the same maps, doing the exact same thing. With Dark Below is like, oh, here we're opening up some areas on the moon, but you're 90% of the time you're playing the same maps over again as this new DLC. House of Wolves is an even bigger joke because it's like, oh, we're going to play you on those same maps, but you're just going to run them backwards now. And that was basically the extent of the new content, so to speak. So that's just what's kind of holding me back here. I don't really know if this DLC is going to be worth a $30 price tag, especially because they've already talked about it's a very short campaign. It's only about 5 missions. It's probably not going to take that long. So it makes me wonder if you're just going to, again, be going through the same areas, doing the same stuff all over again. Although it is a new area that they're opening up with the Plague Lands, so who knows. And that brings me to my other point with these DLCs and why I think, number one, they're overpriced. Because, again, most of the stuff Bungie advertises in these DLCs are these quality of life improvements. They're making a big deal about how, oh, we're keeping Infusion 1-to-1. Oh, we're letting you choose your package now, what rewards you get, and all this other stuff. This is stuff that they should be doing normally for free. You think about how much money you're paying for these expansions. If you think about, the problem with Destiny really is it doesn't really have an identity. Some people want to call it a first-person shooter. Some people want to call it an MMO. I personally think it's a first-person shooter that Bungie is trying to kind of pseudo-advertise as an MMO type game. I'm not sure how, but they're not doing a very good job of it. But the way they update the game and patch the game constantly, trying to fix the balance problems and other things, which they're horrible at, it reminds me a lot of how developers run MMOs. Problem is, Bungie wants to normally charge you for any major content updates with regards to quality of life, with regards to adding in PvP modes, things that most games give you for free. Think about a Call of Duty game, think about a Halo game, think about most PvP shooter games, and think about how many game modes, how many PvP maps you just get with the basic purchase of the first game. You get quite a bit of content there, especially Call of Duty. Halo 5, even though I don't think it's a great game, has a really huge variety of game modes and stuff to play in the PvP. You look at Destiny's Crucible, it's always been a very watered-down experience with very limited game modes, up until they added things like Trials of Osiris and put in some new maps with the expansions you had to pay for. You really just don't have a whole lot to do there. And then, of course, when they're like, oh, we're going to introduce Mayhem Clash and we're going to put Inferno in and some of these other game modes, it had to come with the DLC package. It wasn't something they could just do for free like most of these other developers will do with the games of this type. You can look at Warframe. It's a game I play quite a bit. They add in all kinds of new stuff all the time. They have huge updates. They're usually 4 or 5 gigs in size. And the stuff's all free. And anytime they need to do a quality of life fix or a balance change or anything to kind of help the game and help the community, it's free. Star Trek Online, another MMO that I play, same thing. I can go back to any number of MMOs I played throughout the years, whether it was World of Warcraft, City of Heroes. Anytime there was a major update the game needed in terms of just fixing things or making it better for the players or doing a balance change, it came for free. It wasn't advertised as part of a DLC. It wasn't used to sell DLC. So that's one of the big problems I still have with Bungie and just the way they do these things. And they try to sell you something and act like they're doing you all this huge favor when in reality this is stuff they should be giving you without charging you. This is stuff they should be naturally doing as the game progresses. And it's something they said when Destiny first came out. We're going to be constantly updating the game and fixing the game and putting out weekly and monthly content for free. And of course, Activision got a hold of that, and it probably never materialized. Activision probably had a meeting about that real quick and was like, no, that's not happening. So, that's the main thing holding me back right now, because I'm really honestly pretty intrigued by Rise of Iron. But right now, like I said, it's just the price tag, and I don't know if I want to spend, $30 as half of a regular game, and you're definitely not getting anywhere near that much content. They've already said it's going to be much smaller than the Taken King in size. And you paid $40 for the Taken King. You got a decent amount of stuff to do, but like I said before, it's their DLC has been overvalued since day one, and people pay way too much money. Their DLCs should be a lot less. So that's what I'm worried about with Rise of Iron. Now I'm going to cover some other Rise of Iron stuff in another video I'm doing. I'm going to go more in depth about why it intrigues me and why I think it looks pretty interesting. But for now, I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there on the price of the DLC and why I think Bungie overvalues their DLC with Destiny. So anyways, guys, as always, would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Please leave them down below. Let me know what you think. Are you going to be picking up Rise of Iron? I mean, if you play Destiny and you still enjoy it, you probably almost have to if you want to continue to enjoy the game. That's another thing too, is how Bungie always tends to phase things out when they bring a new DLC in, makes the rest of the game kind of unplayable if you don't buy it. So it's another way they get you. But anyways, I better go before I start to ramble. So anyways, guys, I hope you all are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching. Look forward to your comments below, and I'll see you again next time.